Hello and welcome to Lovolution Village. This is a TV show where I'm exploring love. So it's a very personal experience since we all are born into this world and we have to breathe this air. So there's a common denominator in life, but we still breathe it within our own body. So we have this tension between the external and the internal. And love, I think, has two components. It has the universal love element that makes up the space between the atoms that so many religious thinkers have talked about. In states of meditation, we can get into that consciousness, and that's why so many people find meditation a calming and mind-opening, enlightening experience because it touches that cosmic reality. And then the other type of love is the kind that we do with other people. It's a personal love, either through friendship or through erotic relationships, through combining energies together in partnerships. And these partnerships can have various diversity. And we have seen in our lifetime the gay rights movement, which has spearheaded same-sex marriage. So this desire for union is universal, and marriage seems to be a human phenomena. Well, I was raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. I just got back from a trip to my hometown, and it's always such a experience going there. Whoops. That's the button I wanted to press. So I want to start a slideshow about some of the things I learned in my hometown. Now, I was raised with my mother actually gave me a silver cup. So it wasn't a silver spoon, but it was a silver cup. That's the way I was raised. I was raised in the South. We had domestic workers come in who were African American. I lived through the civil rights movement, in which we saw a whole different a human being in African Americans. So the South has changed a lot in some ways, and in some ways it's remained the same. I became very aware of class consciousness when I was in early 20s, and I started meeting the members of the Communist Workers' Party. They infected me with a meme that is like a gene, except it works on a cultural level. It's an idea system, and that's what Marxism is. It's an alternative belief system to the capitalist system. And being raised in an environment that I found was very oppressive, in that the social circle that my mother ran around with, they were the doctors and the lawyers and the accountants. They were the establishment. And to this day, they're politicians that live in my mother's neighborhood. The real estate in this neighborhood, it runs from, well, the houses on either side of her just sold for almost $1 million. So high property value. Well, we were walking. I do like walking around the beautiful spring of North Carolina, and this neighborhood is very pleasant that way. And this is what we discovered one day. It was one of these large houses, probably a couple of $1 million house, and someone had written Class War on it, and there is an anarchy sign on that. And I was just delighted at this. And my mother says, "Oh, no, let's notify the police and have those people arrested. This is the worst thing. This is outrageous for somebody to write graffiti like that on this wall. And as she was saying that, I was thinking, God, I have got to run and get my camera. I am so happy there's somebody that thinks like I do, and they have written this message, and I'm relating to it. And there's this kind of joy bubbling up in my system. And of course, she is horrified. So I run back to the house and get a camera, and then come back and photograph this. And this is actually the house where that graffiti was painted. And I became very rebellious after I met the communist. I did not become a communist. I became a poetess and an artist because I felt that I wasn't a dogmatic person, and it was just too much dogma, and the whole Cold War was happening, and the USSR was oppressive, and they had a secret police, they were a surveillance society. There's no way I'm going to join a movement in which that was one of the models of what communism did. And then we also had the experiment of communist China and the Mao revolution, the Cultural Revolution, that ended up killing a lot of people and just being also an oppressive environment. So I started becoming a utopian at that point and wanting to visualize a different kind of society in which there was more social justice, or just not more, there was social justice. There was a distribution of wealth that made sense, that everyone could have the resources that they need, and that there wasn't a class of privilege that formed into an oligarchy and was more of a plutocracy than a democracy. And that's what we're in now. We're in a system of ruling families. So I guess you can say, in a way, I'm in a situation where I am biting the hand that feeds me. And the only reason I'm doing this is to try to evolve us to a different system. Well, I did manage to go up to Richmond, Virginia, to visit my sister, and she reproduced this whole system that we were raised in. Except she upgraded herself. She married into wealth and as able to make her dreams come true, which is to be a horse instructor and hang around with very wealthy people in Richmond. So it's the old South. It's the old money system that wasn't able to, we haven't been able to figure out what to do about in this country. It's a blue blood society of this, what Thomas Jefferson called artificial aristocrats. And they're the ones that go into the Ivy League schools. They have the money to send their kids to private schools that costs $50,000 or more. And then what happens to the talented and the gifted people who can get the scholarships is that they are dominated under this value system of family wealth. And so our gifted and talented people fall prey to this value system of the private family, the private wealth, and the large bank accounts. And this is the purpose of life becomes this. Well, here I am in front of my mother's house, and you can see the beautiful azaleas are in bloom. But I want you to know that I was going to this colonial dames party, and I had to wear this outfit that you probably will never see me wear here in Tucson, Arizona. And I even have the pearls on, so I just look like the perfect, like, Southern woman that's going to this colonial dames. And this is these are for people that have ancestors who were part of the colonial movement. Also, my mother is a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. It's another conservative group, and they keep the values of the American society in check. And of course, those values, underlying those values, are stealing the land for the Native Americans. These values or these institutions were established by slavery. And so it's got this corrupt, genocidal underlying reality to it that's kind of just hidden underneath the wealth system. And I was even a debutante. Here I am with my father at this debutante ball. And this is when I started to crack up. You can see I look pretty unhappy there because I did not want to be part of this value system. I wanted to live more virtuously and live in a way that didn't uphold these traditional values. And this is, I'm still in the trying to break free of this value system. And it's so embedded in everything. And if you are living in a family like I am that still believes this value system and lives by these value systems, and you have, and I have a different value system, then it becomes problematic. And I've had this problem now ever since my 20s of trying to relate to my family and not being able to. So this past trip, after I visited my sister and I saw how my nieces are these young capitalists and my nephew wants to become a Navy SEAL, which my value is pacifism, and we certainly don't need any more of our young men going in and serving our nation by going to war somewhere and being killed and coming back without an arm or a leg and being damaged for the rest of their lives. I had conversations with my nieces and nephews on a different value system, which I then wrote about on my Facebook, because these are the conversations that inspired me. I was actually felt like I was relating to them in a way that drew them closer to the earth and allowed them to see who I really am without the facade of just a superficial personality, but that I actually am looking at some of the global issues and trying to address them and looking and searching for integrity outside of the oligarchical system. That everything isn't about just getting power or marrying into wealth or creating wealth yourself and then keeping it for your private family. Well, that did not go well because several of my family members actually read my Facebook. And I knew they did, so it was a risk. You know, it's a risk to reveal yourself when you are not conforming to the establishment. And so they read it. And this greatly upset my sister, my nieces and nephews, all are upset with me because I wrote as honestly as I could about the conversations to the next generation. And so what has happened in the last week is that I've had to block my family from my Facebook at their request, because what I post is so vulgar and so against the family, and how could I possibly do that? How could I expose them? Well, I did want to protect my family. That's why I moved out to Arizona. It is a black sheep place in a way, and I was certainly a black sheep who came out here so that I would not embarrass the people on the East Coast. But that's not good anymore. Because of Facebook and the global internet, there's no place to hide to be yourself if you want to have a authentic personality in cyberspace. So this is really a dilemma. When I moved out of my home and moved to a different region to get out of this problem of not being able to be myself at home, I moved up to Massachusetts and went to graduate school up there and stayed 18 years. And I could write my letters to the editor. I could voice my opinion in ways that my family would never know about. And that was good. I could live myself for 18 years. But then when I moved out to Arizona and became involved with the internet, and now with Facebook, they can read me. And so then the dilemma, the problem happens. So let's see. Here I am in my debutante dress. Just wanted to show you I can still fit into it. And then there is this church oppression. I did not get along in the church. This is the Episcopal Church where my father is buried and where my mother will be buried. And I just did not understand, like the virgin birth or the resurrection. It just seemed very much against the natural order of things. And my mother being a believer, and my sister and all of these relatives believing in this mythology, well, of course, that is difficult. Now, as you can see in this picture, these are two women ministers. So the church has changed some since I grew up there and was a member of the congregation, because it was in the past just men who were the ministers. But now we have the women who are teaching us about love, but really are still not able to talk about the goddess or sexuality in a meaningful way, or partnership between the sexes that can give us an alternative vision. And I hate that, you know, my actions have hurt my family. But what became more important to me was my freedom and the being able to tell the truth about the situation. And to do this, you almost need to be away from your biological offspring, biological relatives, and live somewhere very far away and then not be on the internet. So I haven't been able to do that. My trip was not so dismal because I did get to go to this place called Yogaville. And this is in a place called Buckingham, Virginia. It's on the James River. You can see that in the back. And this is a shrine. That was an image of a shrine that they have built there. It's like a $2 million shrine. And it's an ashram for people who are practicing yoga and who are studying more Hindu philosophy. This was a place where hippies flocked to during that era, and they were able to learn an alternative way of thinking that wasn't based on competition and that was more reflective of the self. And that is exactly what I needed in my life and why I have chosen to practice yoga, because there needs to be some kind of spiritual practice that helps us become more aware of who we are so that I can be more of a truth teller. And here is more of the shrine. And inside is a temple to all of the religions of the world. I think I have a picture of that. Here is the shrine at night. And this is the purpose of the shrine. It says the Golden Rule. And on each of those bubbles is a different major religion of the world. And that is what the temple is devoted to, is multiculturalism. So that around inside the temple shrine, there is quotes about light that each of the various religions say about light. Now, the purpose of that is to show that all these mythologies are dealing with the same issues of light and water. These are the external realities that we all share in common, and that all the religions are saying to love each other. Why is that so problematic? Shouldn't we be loving each other? And shouldn't our families be that place of love? Why didn't I feel that love within my family, that I could have an alternative philosophy without having to block them or being kicked out or ostracized or become a black sheep in my family for being a truth teller? I think that part of this problem is because of the mythos in which we live and have based our lives are on lies, such as the virgin birth. And so when we are just in a lying culture, then the family unit is all about remaining silent. And if somebody starts speaking out or realizing their authentic voice, then that's a problem. And here is inside this shrine at Yogaville. And this is a place where they meditate twice a day. At noon, you come here, there's a silent meditation. And then they also have one at night. And you can see the different light beams that are going to each of the various altars to the world's religions. This is a temple of unity, or attempting to be. Inside of the ashram, this is the dining quarters where you can just eat with anyone. And I had some lovely conversations. Since it's near Washington, D.C., there were people there who actually, I met one couple, or one lawyer, who was working for Obama at the White House. So it's just a lovely, different kind of family environment. And that's exactly what I needed to feel more secure in who I am, is more of a community, spiritual-based system that I could relate to more than the nuclear family and the private system and the private wealth system. So how do I enlighten people in the most loving way to this when you try to say we need to redistribute the wealth, or the nuclear family system is inadequate for the 21st century? How do we do this? And how do we overcome an ancient power system of the family and evolve it to really a system of compassion for everyone and organizing the resources in a different way? And that's a utopian idea. And here at Yogaville, this is some of their farming that they're doing. And finally, I went to the Civil War Appomattox, where the Civil War ended. And here is the actual building where the Civil War ended. And why I put this in and started the slideshow with class warfare is because I feel that the division that is happening between the rich and the poor in this country, that we are on some kind of verge of a terrible situation in which ideologies clash, and a war breaks out. So let's put an end to this class war. Let's figure out a way that we can evolve our culture into a different pattern of living. And that's what I'm trying to do with the arcology idea, the idea of an ecological city. I hope to be going to Arcasani soon, and I will bring back some images from that. I'm hopefully going next weekend with the Green Party, and I will tell you more about this later. I love you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Peace and love.